The 2026 NFL Combine is officially in the books, which means it's time for a post-Combine 2026 NFL mock draft. And we'll kick things off, as is tradition, with the Raiders going Fernando Mendoza at number 1. This basically seems like a foregone conclusion at this point, and I would say this is about the only pick you can really confidently say is about 100% in the 2026 NFL draft. It's just going to happen. It is seemingly a foregone conclusion, as I've said. Raiders need a quarterback. Mendoza's the guy. He's a very good prospect. I feel like we usually skip this and move on pretty quickly. We all know about Heisman winning Fernando Mendoza at this point. Comes in at 236 pounds at the combine, by the way. Very encouraging, just a bit under 6'5". He's got the size. I think people kind of think of him as maybe more of like a lanky, gangly, slight quarterback build, but he comes in close to 240. That's a big dude, and that should hopefully help with his durability and longevity. He's going to be a Raider. But if he weren't a Raider, if we're going to experiment with, okay, what if a team moved up? I actually did a joint mock draft today with Dino Talks Sports. I've tweeted it out. You can check it out. What if the Jets move up to 1 and the Raiders grab 2 and 16 and maybe address some different non-quarterback positions? So check that out on my Twitter. And there's a video from Dino Talks Sports. And we'll jump to the Jets at number 2. That was a crazy mock draft, by the way. I took some liberties because it's not my channel. Who cares about the negative feedback I get? I don't care. So I did some crazy things. It was kind of fun. It won't be as crazy probably as my spin the wheel mock draft that I do every year, but it will absolutely not be as crazy as the real draft. The thing is, everybody thinks they know. Oh, that will never happen. Oh, this is definitely happening. If this player is on the board for my favorite team, we're taking him 100%. And then when that doesn't happen, it's like, what? It didn't happen like I thought again. It's like the draft is impossible to predict 100%. The first round, if you correctly predict even close to half of it, that's record-setting type of stuff. It's really impossible. I don't know how people get fooled every year because they think, oh, you know what? I know exactly what's going to happen. The draft is full of certainties. No, it isn't. It's full of uncertainties. And that's a big one here at 2 for the Jets. They trade Jermaine Johnson. They acquire T'Vondre Sweat. Edge seems to be very much in play. And I think that's where Arvell Reese comes into the picture. We'll talk more about the Combine as we go in this post-Combine mock, but Arvell Reese, I thought, had a very good showing. Ran the 40, and he showed what he needed to show in that. 4.46 640 with a 1.58 10-yard split. Among edge rushers, the 1.58 10-yard split, how fast are you through the first 10 yards of the 40, that's what you're looking for. It measures, of course, explosiveness, but how often are edge rushers running more than 10 yards on a given play? You want to see them get out. How explosive are they off the line? How fast can they get to the quarterback? The instant wins, that's what really makes an edge rusher valuable. Yes, the high effort, high motor guys that can, string together counter moves if their first move or two doesn't work, that's good, right? Relentless pass rush is what you want to see, but the instant wins, that's what gets you paid the big time money. And Arvell Reese, I think, can be an instant winner. Still needs to develop as a pass rusher. There's no question. He's still a little bit inexperienced off the edge. Ohio State used him as a spy. And I think that's really ideally where you get the most value out of him is using him as a hybrid type player. I don't think he needs to be a full-time edge. Now, to warrant selecting him at number 2 overall, that's probably the idea, though. So it'll be an interesting thing to see what the Jets do at 2. Do they want the proven full-time edge in Ruben Bain or David Bailey, or are they shooting on the highest upside guy? And the best athlete among the edge rushers is, I think, quite comfortably Arvell Reese, and his play strength is phenomenal. People have been asking me about Arvell Reese, about Sonny Styles. They're reminded of Isaiah Simmons for some reason. I don't see it. Yes, these are both big linebackers that have been used in a variety of ways, especially Arvell Reese, but the play strength for both of these Ohio State linebackers is far more than what it was for Isaiah Simmons, who was really kind of more of a positionless player. It's easy to fall in love with the athleticism, and I think I may have at the time, but the play strength and the actual ability to play linebacker is very different than what Isaiah Simmons was. He was really used as a chess piece at Clemson, but didn't really have the movement skills of a defensive back, didn't have the play strength of an edge or linebacker, didn't have the mind of a linebacker. He really just couldn't figure out a place to play. Reese and Styles, I think, are very, very different as we get to the Isaiah Simmons team. At number 3, the Arizona Cardinals. They used to love taking those positionless kind of players. Zaven Collins ended up working out, and he was, tried out off ball and then ultimately found his role off the edge. But he is an interesting player. Do the Cardinals try to bring in a linebacker again? Sonny Styles is on the board. Do they want to upgrade the edge? David Bailey's here. Ruben Bain is here. Jeremiah Love is here. And I've done that the past couple of mock drafts, so I will change it up today. We're going to go Francis Maui-Noah, tackle out of Miami. I think he's got a really good chance to stick at right tackle. He's got very good overall size. The movement skills are maybe not absolutely elite, but that's typically what you see from right tackles anyway. I think he's just so sound as a player, he's going to end up being good. So I think this is a fine player to take at number 3 overall in this year's class. Obviously, there's a thought that he could move inside to guard. He's definitely strong enough, definitely powerful enough, plays with that edge. But I think he sticks at tackle, and I think that's going to be his value. And now you have your 2 young tackles of the future in Paris Johnson Jr. and Francis Maui-Noah. You protect whoever that quarterback ends up being. Maybe it's Ty Simpson at the top of the second round, who looked good. He looked very good throwing at the combine, and there's more to playing quarterback than being able to throw well with no pass rush and not in pads. I get that, but a lot of times it has a decent value, especially these decision makers that are drafting. Jackson Dart ends up, going in the first round. I think Ty Simpson probably ultimately ends up as a first round player. Now, because I'm not really doing trades right now, I don't end up having Ty Simpson in the first round in this particular mock draft, but I do think a team probably ends up moving back up for him, whether it's the Jets or the Cardinals at the top of the second round. I think you can make an argument for the Rams and the Browns even too, with multiple first-round picks. But I don't know. The Browns are in a weird spot. There's a thought that they could go with the Predator or with Shedeur Sanders for 2026. And the Rams are trying to win a Super Bowl. So maybe they don't opt to go QB. Honestly, it could be a big draft day surprise, but are the Jets at 16 an option? Everyone is going to jump to say no because, the Jets have multiple top picks in 2027. I agree that's true, but if you like Ty Simpson enough and he is available to you, he might end up being the pick. And you can focus on position players in 2027. It's a great class for it. And if they don't end up going with a receiver here high in the draft, imagine if the Jets are picking in the top 2 or 3 next year and they have the opportunity to grab Jeremiah Smith to complete their receiving core. I don't know. There are some enticing possibilities. There's a great quote. I think it's Leo DeRocher of a former Cubs managerial position who said, you can't save your pitcher for tomorrow. It might rain tomorrow. What does that mean, essentially? You can't just say we're going to take the QB next year. There might not be the QB that you want next year. You might not be in position to get them, even if you do want them. It's easier said than done to trade up. The Giants tried to a few years ago for Drake May or Jaden Daniels potentially, and then we see the 3 teams picking at the top with 3 very good quarterbacks. None of them traded out. It goes Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, first 3 picks. Giants, SOL. So if you like Ty Simpson enough, you might consider it in the middle of the first round. That seems to be at the high end of where he could go. But Michael Penix was a top 8 pick. J.J. McCarthy went at like 11 or 12. Bo Nix was a top 10 pick. And I don't know that it was widely seen that those guys would be that high going into it. Titans at number 4. How about Jeremiah Love? I don't typically do this, but you can make a really strong argument that he's the best player in this draft. Certainly a top 3 player in my opinion. running back is maybe not the biggest position of need here for the Titans. They trade for Jermaine Johnson. Edge, I think, is still a position they would heavily consider it for, but they could just decide that running back is maybe not as lower valued as people think when you can get a player like Jeremiah Love, where the next running back in terms of talent isn't really even close as a prospect. If you consider that to be Jadarian Price, also of Notre Dame, the talent levels between those two are huge. And I like Jadarian Price. I think he could end up being a good player. Jeremiah Love's on a different level of player as a prospect. Really, really talented, insane home run hitting ability with his speed. He's got some good vision. He's just got a way of making big-time plays. He sees the field so well. He catches the ball so well. At the combine, he comes out, runs a 4.36, then goes through all the running back drills, which he didn't need to do. We already know this is top prospect. And then does all the receiver drills, which he certainly didn't need to do. This is a great player, and it seems like a great person as well, like a high character guy that you want. I met him, was very nice. I don't think that matters really very much at all, but he was fun to do content with for a few minutes. And, you know, it seems like these Notre Dame guys are always kind of high character. And they just have a great culture over there, as much as I'm not really a big Notre Dame guy. I think Love checks so many different boxes. And with so much more too high being run by NFL defenses, you kind of see bigger linebackers coming back. You see running backs being more valuable, linebackers being more valuable, guards being more valuable. I don't think a running back, especially in this class at 4, is that weird. Tony Pollard had a productive enough season, but he's just not the player that Jeremiah Love is. And with the Jermaine Johnson trade, maybe you just say, hey, we'll take the best player available. If we want an edge rusher, there are about 1 million at the top of the second round. This draft class is very deep on receiver and edge. Safety linebacker kind of too. Running back is not deep at all. If you go into the second round, here are the players that could be feasibly available. Like maybe Akeem Mesidor, instant help as a pass rusher, even though there's an age and injury concern thing there. Jordan Tyson with his injury history could be available. Cassius Howell with his size could be available, even though I think he goes a bit earlier. Denzel Boston, I think it'd be an easy second round player. TJ Parker, Casey Concepcion, Zion Young, Chris Bell, R. Mason Thomas, Gabe Akis, Derek Moore, Jeremy Bernard, Malachi Lawrence, Joshua Josephs. Like, if you want an edge rusher, especially a designated pass rusher type player, don't take one at 4. I can understand wanting Bain, or even Keldrick Falk in the first round with true 3-down potential, Akeem Mesidor, but the age and injury is bad. But if you're going to take someone that profiles as more of a DPR, just wait. Wait until the second or third round. There will be value there. If you want a receiver, yeah, you could take the first one off the board here, but you could also just wait to the top of the second round where there's going to be good value. There are a lot of really good receivers. Skylar Bell, Chris Brazel, Deion Burks. If you want a slot receiver, there are options. If you want a deep threat, a burner, there are options. If you want, Pickett, jump ball receiver, slot, burner, boundary, or outside. There's so many different options, so many different types of players. You don't need to take one at 4. Anyway, I don't think a lot of Titans fans are going to need to be sold on Jeremiah Love. If they've seen him, he's fantastic. We're going to go Sonny Styles at 5 to the Giants. You can make an argument he's the best player in this draft. He has exceptional size, lit up the combine, obviously. Ran, I think, 4.46 with a 1.51 10-yard split, or 1.55 10-yard split, something in that range. And the tape is phenomenal. He doesn't miss tackles. He is just a really, really good linebacker prospect. Giants cut Bobby Okereke. Micah McFadden's a free agent. Or Giants are expected to cut Bobby Okereke, I believe. I don't know if they've done it yet. Styles is just a phenomenal prospect, so much so that he's the 5th overall pick in the draft. And we do not see a lot of off-ball linebackers go this high. The last one I think I remember is Devin White was a top 5 pick. Am I missing anybody else? Yeah, it's a possibility, but, it does not happen every day. Sonny Styles is a special type of player. Browns at 6. Maui Noah's off the board. Spencer Fano has baby arms. They trade for Titus Howard today, by the way. Guard's a big need. But what about Monroe Freeling? I think if you're looking for the prototype left tackle, Freeling is the guy. 6'7", 315, and has elite movement skills. He's tested very well. Overall, if you want a left tackle, it's not easy to find one. Long arms. Who's the left tackle in this class? Caleb Lomu down the board. Caden Proctor, but there are some questions there. Markel Bell down the board. Like, I don't know that there's a better pick to be made here than Monroe Freeling. And it seems like the high end of where he might go, but this is probably someone that continues to ascend up draft boards, kind of like Armand Membu did, where the potential is so great, and Freeling's got way better measurables than Armand Membu. Way longer arms, will be a left tackle in the NFL. I think he's going to go high, because left tackle is the premium position outside of quarterback. It goes quarterback in a tier of its own, and then left tackle and edge rusher is right there too. You know, right tackle's not far behind, corner receiver not far behind, and then somewhere way down there you get, you know, linebacker, tight end, safety, guard maybe is a little bit higher than that. Interior defensive line's near that top tier as well. But that's a valuable position. Freeling looks like he was built in a lab to play left tackle. What do you want? 6'7", 315 pounds, 34-inch arms, awesome movement ability. That's Monroe Freeling. Not a perfect prospect by any means, but in this class, I think he ends up going really high. Commanders at 7. Gonna go David Bailey. Bailey came out and ran really fast, 4.50 or something like that. And then, I guess kind of as expected, looked a little bit stiff through the drills. I don't know that he's the absolute bendiest player, and you kind of want him to be at only about 250 pounds. The tape definitely has its flashes. He's able to corner. Sometimes he's able to bend really well. But his speed is his calling card, and it's exceptional. But, I mean, his pass rush productivity against actual good offensive lines, not that he played a ton of them, really fell off a cliff. I mean, against Utah, for example, it was way lower, and that's with Fano and Lomu, who may not even end up being NFL tackles. And those are good players, but it's just something to keep in mind. The Commanders definitely need pass rush help. I think David Bailey could end up being a really valuable pass rusher, but he does have some concerns, and I don't think that running a 4.50 in the 40 really gave you a whole lot of answers on his concerns, because it still looks like a thin lower half, still looks a bit stiff. I mean, honestly, through the drills, he was maybe half a step faster than Keldrick Falk, who's 280 pounds, who people don't like because he only had 2 sacks this year. He had 7 a year ago, before in 2024. He's a great run defender. I'm not saying he's going to be more productive as a pass rusher than David Bailey in his career, but it's weird that people are comparing them like they're the same type of player when David Bailey really can't defend the run that well. In terms of like holding his ground, he's able to slip blocks and make plays that way sometimes, no doubt. But Falk is a big dude who's strong and a smooth mover. And I don't know. I feel like people are sleeping on Keldrick Falk as well, which is bizarre. I think the NFL probably won't be so much. But yeah, David Bailey, could be quite a good player. I'm not trying to hate on David Bailey, just saying there are some concerns, and I don't know that he's locked himself up as the number 2 overall pick in the draft, although I could still see it. At number 8, we have the New Orleans Saints, and I think it's going to be Ruben Bain with the way everything is kind of come together here. Bain is a really good player. He's powerful. He's a rugged defender. He's very good against the run. He is a solid player with some fairly good production, but he's been more of a pressure over a sack guy. Like here we have 2 280-pound defensive ends. One is Keldrick Falk, who in the past 2 seasons in 24 games has made 74 tackles, 16 for loss, 9 sacks. Quite respectable. And now these kind of basic numbers are not the end-all be-all. Ruben Bain in the past 2 seasons has played in 1 more game, 77 tackles, 21 for loss, and 13 sacks. Ruben Bain has been a bit more productive, there's no question, but they're comparable. They actually apparently were born just a day apart in a year. Bain is a full year older than Keldrick Falk, who's going to be a 20-year-old rookie. I just don't get why people are so down on Falk. I don't really get the reason. But Ruben Bain, very good player for the Saints. Could just be the best player you can take here at a premium position as well. Chiefs at number 9. You know, looking at some of the guys that the Chiefs had talked to at the Combine, it appears that receiver is going to be a strong focus for them. And Carnell Tate has made it to 9. There's a chance he goes earlier, maybe in the 4, 5, 6 range even. But here he is at 9. Ran a little bit slower than what some people were expecting, including myself. I thought the fact that he was running at all said that that number was going to end up being in the 4.4s somewhere. 4.45, 4.48, you know, something in that range. Runs 4.53. It's not really a big difference. It really isn't. Like if someone ran a 4.33 and the other guy runs a 4.39, it's about the same difference or more, right? It's like they're both very fast. And a lot of the best receivers in the league are 4.5 guys. CeeDee Lamb ran a 4.50. Puka Nacua is mid to late 4.5. It is not the end of the world, especially when the tape is so good, the ball skills are so good. He does get down the field in a hurry. He's someone that can stretch you vertically. He's a really, really solid player. And for the Chiefs, with big question marks regarding Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy is a fine player, but he's not really a lead receiver on a team. I think there are question marks regarding this receiving core, and Carnell Tate can certainly help those. And of course, they met with him at the Combine, so I thought that was a good fit. And now, I mean, I've set this up kind of in advance. If you heard me talk about the Ruben Bain pick, which really ended up being a Keldrick Falk conversation, Keldrick Falk is a Bengal. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but this is the most Bengals pick you could make. They need an edge rusher desperately. They need help on defense in general desperately. I could also see Caleb Banks here. I think that's an option, an opportunity for them to improve that defense. Yes, I could see Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs, apparently, reportedly, did not exactly pass the medical testing at the Combine with flying colors, with some degenerative knee concerns. According to a buddy of mine, Corey Kinnan, I've appeared on their channel, and we'll see if we can get Corey on the channel at some point as well. It's supposed to be me, Corey, and James Foster of No Flags Film, but Corey's computer was not working well. But anyway, he releases a Combine article every year. Highly recommend checking him out. He was told that Caleb Downs was flagged with a partially torn meniscus and also flagged with a potentially degenerative ACL. We saw the fall for Will Johnson this past season. The injury stuff, the medical concerns for certain players are no joke, and we've seen big drops as a result. Caleb Downs, I still think, is going to go fairly high because he's one of the best players in this draft. But I don't know that every team is going to strongly consider taking him in the top 10. Falk plays a more premium position at an elite age, is a very, very good run defender, and has really flashed as a pass rusher. He has the elite length that teams covet. If you can develop him, you're going to have a really, really good player. And I know the Bengals fans are not going to be stoked about this because they want an instant impact pass rusher right now. Those are hard to find. You know, you take a shot with Shamar Stewart. Certainly did not help that you had some contract disputes with the wording of the contract, and Stewart did not appear for a while. He had his moments, but overall, not a super impressive rookie year. And you think, okay, we're doing that again. You've got to understand, with taking more of a project prospect, the results are not going to be instant. So you've got to be a little bit patient. And it's hard for NFL fans to be patient. You want to win now, and I get that. But you may get a really, really good player down the line. And Falk is one of the highest floor players in the draft. He's been so good at, 18 and 19 years old playing in the SEC. There's a lot of potential here. Doesn't mean he reaches that potential, but this is a high floor player. I've seen him comp to Carlos Dunlap, who's a great player for the Bengals. this is not a huge L pick for Cincinnati. Maybe it doesn't end up being, that Falk ever hits double-digit sacks. That's a possibility, right? And that's the metric a lot of people like to use to determine whether an edge rusher is good. I get that production's important, but I think based on the Bengals' Duke Tobin's draft history, Falk seems like the pick. There are a lot of options, though, but that seems to be a strong one. And I think they also met with him at the Combine. Dolphins at 11. I know I do this every time. I'm still going to give them Mansour Delane. Corner is such a big need, and they have an opportunity to take the first corner off the board, another player they met with at the Combine. Doesn't mean they're going to draft him. Teams all the time draft players they don't even meet with. But teams also sometimes do. So I think there is a value to, seeing who met with who and seeing which teams are meeting with certain position groups maybe more than others and which ones they are meeting with. Because, there's a big difference, let's say, if the Dolphins met with Mansour Delane and Jermod McCoy and Avion Terrell versus meeting with Devin Moore and Will Lee and Julian Neal. And they may have met with all those guys anyway, but I'm saying you can sometimes get a gauge of what positions they might be targeting high, with who are they interviewing with those position kind of clumps together. I think Delane is a good option here at 11 for a team that desperately needs help on the boundary. Cowboys at 12, supposedly from that Corey Kinnan article that he was he posted, the Cowboys' main target is Mansour Delane, and if they don't have him on the board, they will trade down. It's hard to say how true that is, but it's certainly noteworthy that they are considering cornerback this high, and you'd expect them to, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. However, if Caleb Downs makes it to 12, Caleb Downs could be the pick here for Dallas that could absolutely think about upgrading at safety. I think if you look at this Cowboys team, they need safety. They need corner. They need linebacker. They need edge. They need right tackle. Those are the positions I think the Cowboys are really going to look to target here in this draft. Caleb Downs, you can make an argument. He's one of the best 4 or 5 players in this draft, maybe one of the best 2 or 3, very easily. He's really rock solid, steady, reliable. He has great instincts, great recognition, great ability to trigger downhill and maybe play above what his 40 could have been. He obviously opted out from doing anything at the Combine, but he's a really good player. And because of positional value and now some medical stuff, I don't know how easy it is to say Caleb Downs will be a top 10 pick, but still somewhere in the teens seems like quite a strong possibility. As we get to the Rams at 13, I still think they're a strong Mekhi Lemon team. There were reports that Mekhi Lemon apparently did not interview well. I don't know if that's actually true or if they saw his podium interviews and said, man, the vibe is weird. And it was. There's no question about that. But as for whether or not Mekhi Lemon bombed his interviews with teams, those to me seem like unsubstantiated claims at this time from what I was able to look into. I think he's a really solid player. He's great after the catch. May not be as twitchy or as explosive as, a Jackson Smith and Jigba, who he's commonly compared to. But to act like he's not as good as Amon-Ra St. Brown was as a prospect is fairly ridiculous. St. Brown was like a 4th round pick? I don't really know what we're doing with that. Mekhi Lemon has some similar traits and qualities. Not going to say he's going to end up being one of the best receivers in the league like Amon-Ra St. Brown has ended up being. Amon-Ra St. Brown has a different level of competitive fire, and he is a monster player. Mekhi Lemon is a really good player. You look at the Rams, you look at what their receiving corps could look like in a couple of years without Devontae Adams. It's kind of Puka Nacua and nobody else. And Lemon, I think, could be an instant impact player day one as well. And if you go out there and say, hey, we want our offense to remain one of the best in the league, you can add a guy like Mekhi Lemon and maybe get even better. Your receiving core this season could be Mekhi Lemon, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Mekhi Lemon would obviously be killing it in the slot there. And then you have all the tight ends that they like to run out there, an emerging Terrence Ferguson. This offense could get even better. I think Mekhi Lemon makes a lot of sense here, as does Jermod McCoy, another guy who opted out of participating at the combine. And we'll see how the medicals came back. I don't know at this time. And we'll see if there's a significant fall or not. And there may be. Teams could say, hey, we actually prefer if the cornerback we draft in the first round played football in the past calendar year. And that's not the case for Jermod McCoy, who didn't see the field at all in 2025 and then didn't do anything at the combine. We'll see him hopefully move around at his pro day, but there's no guarantee that he's going to end up being a top 10, 15, or even top 20 pick. Will Johnson, again, fell all the way to like 50-something. So we'll see. 47 on Will Johnson, by the way. He was the 47th pick, but about pick 50. My point still stands. Ravens at 14. I think Caleb Banks is going to end up going high. He had a great Senior Bowl, and he has rare size and athleticism. 6'6", 330, runs like a 5.05 in the 40. Incredible stuff. And Banks has rare length. Like, his size is rare. The athletic combination with that is more rare. Between his great Senior Bowl and then, of course, what he's able to do this weekend, he's looking more and more like a top 20 pick and the first defensive tackle off the board. Jesse Minter now with the Ravens, head coach, looking to upgrade that interior defensive line, I'm sure. They need to upgrade their pass rush. Justin Madubuike is a big question mark. They were, of course, able to bring back Travis Jones on an extension, but you need more. We know the Jesse Minter defense. You need multiple good interior defensive linemen. And if you want a designated pass rusher, as I've said, there are a lot down the board that can impact the game that way. This is a deep edge class. So I think that's a strong possibility as we move to the Bucs at 15. Speaking of designated pass rushers, how about Cassius Howell? Man, this just makes a lot of sense. He's been productive. He is an incredible athlete. His arms are incredibly short, and that maybe hurts him and he doesn't end up going top 10. But with the production, with the athleticism, with the scheme fit, Cassius Howell to the Bucs, I think, makes a ton of sense. This is a guy who ran, I think, a 1.58, 10-yard split, and he compares very similarly in a lot of ways to Hassan Reddick. The Bucs took a shot on him. It didn't work out. I think in these Todd Bowles defenses, you don't need to be a 280-pound edge rusher to be effective and get on the field. You can be undersized and slight. If you have speed and you can get to the QB, you're going to play. And I think that's what the Bucs are going to see in Cassius Howell. Todd Bowles fighting to stay the Bucs head coach. Getting an impact edge rusher here at 15 could be the way to go. Jets at 16. Elijah Vera Tucker's a free agent. John Simpson, I believe, is a free agent. The Bucs, of course, took Howell, and maybe the Jets would have considered that. They go double dip on edge rusher, but not going to do that here. We're going to go offensive line. And Venga Ioane seems to be somebody that makes sense. The Jets have shown that they will commit to building through the trenches. They have multiple first-round picks, and Venga Ioane could be the best offensive lineman in the entire draft. The Jets grab him here at 16 because he's a guard, and he's a plug-and-play starter at left guard right now. Hopefully you're able to keep Elijah Vera Tucker, and now your offensive line of the future is young and talented. If you can throw out, and this is provided they even keep Elijah Vera Tucker, it's probably going to be fairly expensive, Olu Fashanu, Venga Ioane, Joe Tippmann, AVT, Armand Membu. That's one of the best young offensive lines, if not the best in the league. Protect whoever your young quarterback ends up being, or quarterback in general. This would be very intriguing. And again, if you want a receiver, there are options down the board. You've got the 33rd pick in the draft. The Jets kind of just need everything. And BPA at 2 and 16, that's a pretty good haul, I would say. Lions at 17, they trade for Juice Scruggs today. They trade away David Montgomery to the Texans. Running backs in play at some point, but not here at 17. I think Spencer Fano makes a ton of sense. He comes in with short arms, about 32 inches. His movement skills are elite. He did the center drills at the combine. Will the Lions draft Spencer Fano to play center? Unfortunately, friend of the channel, Graham Glasgow, was released today. Interior O-line is a need for this Detroit team. Tackle even may be a need. Fano's got the potential to potentially play all 5 offensive line spots. With his movement skills, I think he'd make a heck of a center. And this is the first-round center prospect now. I know that seems crazy, but his movement skills are so elite. He could play tackle in a pinch if there's an injury. This just makes a lot of sense for Detroit. At 18, we have the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to try to improve the secondary, and Dylan Thieneman could be a good way to do it. He crushed it at the combine, runs a 4.35 in the 40, looked incredible in the on-field workout. And for the Vikings with, I don't even want to say an aging Harrison Smith. Everybody's aging technically, but an old Harrison Smith. Thieneman is explosive, rangy, he can come up and tackle. You got a lot of needs in that secondary for the Vikings here, and it's a good safety class. So you could go corner at 18. Jermod McCoy is right here, but maybe the injury stuff doesn't check out. And then you could go safety down the board if you wanted to do that. I think they need a cornerback and a safety in this draft if they can come away with one. It's a pretty good corner class. It's a pretty good safety class. Very good safety class. So the Vikings are going to have some options here. I think that if they could come away, Vikings 3-round mock draft, if they could come away with, they have 18, 49, and 82, I think, let's just say, Thieneman at 18, so we'll keep that, and then grab a corner like, if we're looking for a boundary, Chris Johnson in round 2, Dalen Everett maybe in the 3rd, and then Mike Washington or Jadarian Price in the 2nd or 3rd. Could be very, very fun. This team's ready to compete. Thieneman helps them now, but also in the future. Panthers at 19, another combine standout. We're going Kenyon Sadiq. Now, Sadiq is an alien. 6'3", 240 pounds, runs a 4.39 in the 40, vertical jumps 43.5 inches. He can block. I don't know if he's truly going to be the best inline option in the NFL, but he is a mismatch weapon at tight end as a move tight end. Could be a really, really fun player. Now, Brad Idzik is calling plays for the Panthers, so that's going to be interesting to see how the offense changes with Dave Canales no longer doing it. But you have an emerging offense where Bryce Young could be the guy. Jalen Coker, I've been a huge fan of for a while. I'm glad that he's finally earned that job. Liggett is on the team. And, of course, you have the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Teteroa McMillan. Add Sadiq to this offense. You've got so much size, so much speed. It would be a tough offense to stop. It really, really would be. And I like Jatavion Sanders a lot. Hookham, of course. He can't really stay on the field. And Tommy Tremble is very upgradable. Sadiq kind of seems like a no-brainer selection. And again, like we talked about with a lot of these other teams, you can take some pass rush down the board. There are a ton of options off the edge. A ton. A lot of them are undersized. That's what I call a designated pass rusher, somebody that's not going to be on the field for all 3 or 4 downs potentially, but there are a lot of guys that can help you as a pure pass rusher. There are a lot of good edge rushers in this class, like a ton. So you don't need to do that at 19. Similarly to Jeremiah Love at 4, the drop-off to the next tight end is extreme. I know Eli Stowers tested incredibly well. He's not really a tight end at all. He doesn't block. And then it's like, who's the next guy? It might be Sam Roosh. That might be tight end 3 in this draft, who had an incredible combine, by the way. I think Max Clare is good. Michael Trigg has some character concerns, but is definitely a really good athlete. I like Justin Jolie. Of course, I like Jack Andrews. Hookham. Marlon Klein had a good workout, I thought. What a fun background for him. German guy that moves to Georgia and then plays tight end at Michigan. Looked like a really good athlete. I'm so excited to see what the order of the tight ends ends up being. But the drop-off from Sadiq to the next guy I think is kind of insane. So the Panthers opt to take the stud tight end here at 19. At number 20, Cowboys back on the board. We went with Caleb Downs at 12. And Jermod McCoy is an intriguing option, but if you weren't going to do it at 12, maybe you don't do it at 20. I know he plays a valuable position, but we're going to experiment with what if Jermod McCoy falls today because of the medical reasons and he didn't play in 2025. We're going to go CJ Allen. The Cowboys desperately need to upgrade linebacker. Taking a Georgia linebacker, probably not the worst idea in the world, especially one that was wearing the green dot for their defense and apparently making all of the checks and calls. That's pretty impressive. CJ Allen, I think, immediately upgrades his linebacker core, has an option to be, Mike or Will. He is just a good player on this team. He'd be their Mike linebacker. And the Cowboys, again, could opt to go corner here, could opt to take a pass rusher. But I think CJ Allen just kind of fits with one of the best players available. I think this is about his range where he's going to go. I think the Panthers is a strong option as well. And I think CJ Allen could even be in consideration at 12. So they get him here at 20. It's a pretty decent pick here for Dallas. As we get to the Steelers at 21, I often go Jordan Tyson here because it seems like the only pick they can make. Jermod McCoy would be very interesting. I think Jordan Tyson is a stud player, and he just keeps falling because of the medical stuff, again. But despite the broken collarbone and the torn ACL and the nagging hamstring injury, when Jordan Tyson's on the field, he is an incredible player. And I think he really could be available in this range. He is so talented. And if you get Aaron Rodgers back for 2026, it's because you're trying to win a Super Bowl right now. Who can help, legitimately help the most with that right now? Jordan Tyson. DK Metcalf, Jordan Tyson receiving core starts to look pretty nice. Tyson is an impact player right now. He might be my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year if the Steelers grab him. I think he could be that productive, that effective as a rookie. So similarly to the Dolphins at 11, when Jordan Tyson makes it here for me, that's the pick. That's the pick. So if it's getting boring, I'm sorry, but that's the pick for me. It just seems like that's the way it would be. Chargers at 22. Give me Caden McDonald. The right interior offensive lineman, I just don't know if they're here. You can make an argument for Basantis or Pregnon, both very good guard prospects that may be off the board in round 2 more than round 1. But Caden McDonald, big run-stuffing nose tackle, exactly what the Chargers need. You look at the combination of expiring contracts and talent there. That defense needs to stay good. They lose Jesse Minter. That's a huge loss. But Caden McDonald as a big, just hole-stuffing interior defensive lineman be a really good option. And they can take, the second interior defensive lineman off the board? I think they're looking for a nose tackle. Peter Woods may be in play as well, but if you're looking for a nose tackle that has flashed a little bit as a pass rusher, Caden McDonald at 22 is your guy. At 23, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Caden Proctor, come on down. I think similarly to Keldrick Falk, Caden Proctor is a little bit overhated as well. He's had some really bad reps, and there's some, clips running around where he's like, what are you doing? But he has elite size, very good athleticism, and you might have a day one starting guard in Caden Proctor that could eventually be your starting right tackle. Lane Johnson is not getting any younger. He might have one more year left in 2026. That would be my expectation. And he's been banged up lately a little bit as well. And the Eagles are not the same team without Lane Johnson. Having Caden Proctor as someone that can compete to start at guard and then eventually end up being your starting right tackle, that could be very good for Philadelphia. Browns at 24. He might end up going a lot higher than this, but give me Omar Cooper. Indiana receiver. Of course, went Monroe Freeling at 6. Someone got mad at me because they're like, Bengal, you don't have to scroll back up every time in the 2-round mock draft. He said, you can just check previously drafted. Or, I don't know. They said something. Who cares? Either way, scrolling back up, it doesn't really take too much time. It actually took more time to explain this. But Omar Cooper is a really good player. He's explosive. He's really good after the catch. He's tough. He's physical. He's got good size. And then he comes out and runs a 4.42 in the 40. This is a dog. He is a baller. And to get him at 24 may end up being looking like very good value. He's got very good hands. I mean, if you pull up the receiving grades here from PFF, his yards per route run is very good. His drop rate, not especially high, 4.2%. Contested catch rate, 50%, a little bit above average. Like, these are all pretty good metrics. And then you turn on the film and he's so good after the catch. He's got like a rubber body when you hit him. He just kind of bounces off like Gumby. He's a really, really good player. And for the Browns, this is what you need. If you can come away with, let's say, Monroe Freeling, Omar Cooper, and then your next pick's at 39, Basantis or Pregnon, ideally, that is a haul. That would be a very good draft for Cleveland. Bears on the board at number 25. Akeem Mesidor represents instant pass rush help. I could also see Emmanuel McNeil-Warren here. You have free agents with Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard. I know you want to improve your pass rush off the edge and in the interior, but who's going to start at safety next year if you're not able to retain Brisker or Byard or both? Safety is an option, but Thieneman didn't get here. Maybe Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is not the pick. Mesidor could be. This team is trying to win it all, and they're not that far. This could have been an NFC Championship team last year. They were close. And Mesidor is somebody that offers instant pass rush help right away. He's got an injury history. He's not great against the run, and he is an older prospect, will be a 25-year-old rookie. I don't think you care about the age if you're Chicago, because your window is opening now. You're a team that could potentially win it all next year. Now, I don't know if the Bears will do that, but their offensive line's quite good. The playmakers at receiver and tight end are quite good. Their backfield is good enough. And then their defense has proven to be subpar. You need to upgrade your pass rush, and you need to upgrade your run defense. You can take a really good pass rusher here at 25 and then come back later and get like Big Citrus or the Godfather in round 2. Or, I mean, even if you want to get a slighter, pass rush first, kind of like penetrating 3-tech, Grayson Halton is potentially in play, right? I mean, you have some options here. So it doesn't have to be a 25, but it could be. I mean, Peter Woods is going to be a tough player to turn down. I don't know where he ends up going, but I'm still high on him as a player based off what we saw in 2023 and 2024. Mesidor, though, I think instant pass rush help for a team that is close. Bills at 26. Denzel Boston. I'm not the biggest Denzel Boston guy in the world, and I don't think he had the best workout. Didn't run the 40. Had some drops in the gauntlet and in some of the other route running drills, but he overall has very good hands. He overall is a great contested catch receiver. The Bills need someone that can catch the ball. He doesn't really separate at a great level, so are you risking, a Keon Coleman situation again? I think Boston's a better contested catch player, so there is that. But it seems like a Bills type of receiver. I worry about the separation ability. 49ers at 27. I think receivers in play. Casey Concepcion is here. I think they really need to still upgrade their pass rush. And based on who they met with at the Combine, and they're apparently looking for an interior disruptor. Like Peter Woods makes a lot of sense here. TJ Parker also makes a lot of sense. They met with, I think, Akeem Mesidor, who didn't end up making it here. And I'm going to actually take them at their word. I had TJ Parker here in the mock. I'm going to change things up. I'm going to go Peter Woods at 27. I know they've taken high picks on defensive tackles in the last couple of years with Alfred Collins, CJ West. Those are more run-stuffing defensive linemen. Peter Woods could offer some real pass rush on the interior, and this is kind of sniped away from the Texans. I had them going to the Texans at 28, but I'll take them at their word that they're looking for, interior pass rush help, like an interior disruptor. Peter Woods could be that. He may end up being a lot better than the 27th best player in this draft, but because of a number of reasons, he ends up falling here. I still quite like him as a player. Somebody got really mad at me on Twitter for disrespecting Peter Woods. It's like, this is a mock draft. It's what I think would happen. It's predictive based off of all the information we have at this time, not what I think about the player personally. And I'm still quite high on him. But I'll take the Niners at their word. They want an interior disruptor. Enter Peter Woods. Texans at 28. So I had Woods here. And I'll tell you, I don't really love the other interior D-line options for them. Like Lee Hunter, I've done before. But we're actually going to sneak Emmanuel Pregnon into the first round. Looked great in the drills. Tested quite well. I mean, he's a big, powerful guard. And the Texans trade away Titus Howard. They trade away Juice Scruggs, who I understand is not good. But he started some games for them over the past couple of years. More so in 2024 than 2025. They have a free agent in Ed Ingram at right guard. They have a free agent in Trent Brown at right tackle. Apparently, they could move Ariante Ursary over to right tackle and start Blake Fisher at left tackle. That would be interesting, I suppose. But either way here, I think you need to go and get an offensive lineman. I mean, if it's not Pregnon, I could also make a really good case for a tackle, and maybe I will do that and change and go Max Iheanacho from Arizona State. But if Ursary is going to move to right tackle and you're going to have Fisher play left tackle, Emmanuel Pregnon. I don't know. I don't know what the Texans are going to do. They've traded away Laramie Tunsil, Scruggs, Titus Howard. I don't know what this offensive line is going to look like next year, but it probably won't be very good. They need to help any way they can. Get CJ Stroud back to the level that he can really be, what we saw as a rookie, and somewhat as a year 2 player. Year 3 was not it, but the O-line's terrible. You got to protect them, got to keep them upright. This draft, they really should spend multiple picks on offensive linemen, in a high, and maybe in free agency as well. Rams at 29. I mean, Jermod McCoy fell right here. I think he's too good to be available. I think you would have considered it at 13, but he falls to 29. And falls happen in the draft all the time. This is a player that didn't play football in 2025, coming off a torn ACL. I recognize that injury is not what it used to be, but the fact that he didn't play any football coming off the injury, didn't do anything at the combine, how the medicals turned out, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. But it's not unfeasible that he could be available here. We kind of just see a fall on corners. Nobody's taking corners. It's a really valuable position. We could see a lot more corners than 2 or 3 go in round 1, right? But it just didn't happen this time around. And sometimes that's the way it goes. McCoy is available at 29 to a team that desperately needs cornerback help. Mekhi Lemon and Jermod McCoy is a haul for the Rams. That does this make them a Super Bowl team? They added 2 very good players. I think McCoy, based off of 2024, could be a top 5 player in this class. Top 10, I think, comfortably. But that's 2 years ago now, by the time he touches the field again. Or a year and a half, I don't know. Broncos at 30. Going to go KC Concepcion. Linebacker very much in play. I think they did meet with KC Concepcion. He's got a bit of a hands problem, but everything else is very good. And he caught the ball, I thought, fairly well at the combine. The only thing is, like, when you're playing receiver, and I get not everybody has huge hands. Mine are pretty big. It makes it a little bit easier. But you want to have your fingers, thumb, and index basically touching. KC Concepcion kind of catches the ball like this. And that's like you want to be ready for the ball. And I think some of his drop issues are how he's catching it. And now, can you change that? Can you be coached into catching the ball correctly? Yeah, absolutely. But it could be a bit of a work in progress there. He's a good route runner with exceptional athleticism overall. He didn't run. I don't really care. It looked very good in the on-field drills. And he's so electric with the football. Feels like a good fit for Denver. Patriots at 31. I'm going to go TJ Parker here. I think this is a really good fit for them. They need pass rush help. I was pleasantly surprised with how good their defense was in 2025, but got to get better, got to get younger. TJ Parker, I think, is a really good fit off the edge here, and someone that may end up going a lot higher than this. Seahawks at 32. Avion Terrell is here. Avion Terrell is my selection. I'm really high on him as a player. I think he looked great in the on-field workouts as well at the combine. He's somebody that I think has great tape. He's a bit undersized. That's why he falls here. But what a get this would be for Seattle. Feels like he's got the right mentality to be a Seattle Seahawk, offers some versatility, but I think he ends up as a boundary corner despite being 5'11", 185 or so pounds. He's a really, really good player. And even in a down year, Clemson still ends up getting 3 first-round picks in this scenario. Let me know what you think about the mock draft down in the comment section below. I'm sure you will. And I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.